Kelowna's spring real estate market is sending some serious mixed signals. We've hit a record high for active listings. Sales are still dragging compared to previous years, but prices are going up. In this update, I'll walk you through the latest numbers and break down what it might mean for you if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in today's market. So let's start with the overall real estate market here in the Kelowna area, otherwise known as the Central Okanagan. So overall residential stats, doesn't include commercial or anything. So the number of total sales we had was 344. Now I know I mentioned sales are slower. It's 16% more than 2024, but if we just go over to the next slide here, 10 years of sales tells us another story. So if we look down to today, we had 344 sales total. Last year, we only had 295 as at the end of March. But if you look back to 2023, we had 421. 2022 and 2021 don't really count because those were just the craziness. So they had 639 and 909, so double and triple almost anyway than this year. And then if we go back a little bit further to 2020, it's a little higher there. 2019 was essentially the same, and then going back even further, sales were a lot higher. So even though sales were 16% higher than last year, this gives us kind of a better idea as kind of where we should be and just how sort of slow it is this year in March. Now, if we look at the total dollar volume in March, we sold $293 million worth of real estate, which is 23% higher than last year. The average sale price, this is across all property types, is $851,000. And the number of active listings right now, we're at record highs at over 3,000 listings. It's 19% higher than even last year. And in February, we had 2,600. So we've increased by about over 300 there. And if we dig a little bit deeper into the active listings. So in March, again, we have 3,097 listings. Now comparing that to the peak of the market, and I'll get into all the pricing stuff in a minute here, we're 2,000 listings higher than the peak of the market in March of 2022. So that's how much the market has changed in just 3 years. Now, if this trend continues, so we're higher than last year in January, in February, March. If this continues, the listings could creep into the 4,000s, which we've never seen before. We'll see if that actually happens. I don't know if we'll get quite that high, but maybe 3,500, that sort of thing, depending on obviously how the market goes. Hard to predict. And last year there was a lot of listings even then, and we're hitting record highs now already. And just going back to our stats here, so active listings we've gone over. New listings, we're at just under 1,200 new listings in the month of March. That's down about 0.5% since last year. And I do have a little asterisk there just to remind you that the number of new listings also includes relisted properties. So if a listing gets canceled and then it gets relisted the next day, say at a new price, that technically counts as a new listing. So just keep that in mind, that might not all be brand new listings. Now, the average list to sale ratio right now across all property types is 96%, meaning that buyers and sellers are negotiating about 4% on average off of the list price. So it is a buyer's market right now. And just for a little bit of context, during the peak of the market 3 years ago, we were seeing list to sale ratio of over 100%. So we had multiple offers on a ton of properties, and there's bidding wars and things were selling for over the asking price. And the average days to sell across all property types is 69 days to sell, and that number is slowly coming down as well. Now, if you have any questions about the Kelowna real estate market, or you're looking to buy or sell in the area, you can simply shoot me a text message to the number on the screen, Or if you prefer email or to book a formal appointment, there's links down below in the description to do that. Now let's discuss the single family home category. So the number of sales we had total is 149 single family homes. It's about just under 15% more than this time last year. The benchmark price, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, is creeping up. The last 5 months the price has slowly been creeping up, and over 2024 it's up over 5%. Now the average days to sell is about 56 right now. It's down 10% over this time last year. And this first number is what I consider the advertised days to sell, which goes off of the last listing price. And I dug into these stats a little bit deeper, as I normally do. And I went through every single sale to see which properties were canceled, relisted, maybe at a new price, and then they typically sell, a little bit quicker there. So I went through all those listings, and the real days to sell, if you count those cumulative relists, is about 74. So even this number's come down quite a bit as well. At one point, it was at over 100 days to sell. Now we're down to 74. So just over a couple months to sell. Now the list to sale ratio is a little bit higher for the single family home category compared to the whole market. You're at 97%. Buyers and sellers negotiating around 3% off the list price. Inventory for the single family home category takes up 45% of the total market. So we're sitting at 1,359 listings as of the end of March, and that's up 13% over this time last year. Months of inventory, we're sitting at 9, which just puts us into a buyer's market, which we've been in for a very long time now, but it's always hovered around. There was 1 month where we had 14 months of inventory, but that was just a one-off kind of thing. But we've been hovering around 9 or 10 months of inventory for quite some time. And the absorption rate, which also tells us we're in a buyer's market, is at 11%. So just over 1 in 10 homes are selling in a given month right now. And just for fun, the lowest sale we had was $500,000 and the highest sale was $4.2 million. Now let's go on to pricing of single family homes. So let's go back to March 2020 when the world changed, especially in terms of, everything, but in terms of house prices, absolutely. So from March 2020 to the peak of the market, which was March 2022. So in those 2 years, home prices increased by 67%, peaking out at just over $1.1 million or just under $1.2 million. And from then, we saw a 17% decrease. So essentially, or almost the bottom of the market there in September of 2022. So we saw a 17% decrease there, and then we slowly kind of creeped up there. If we go back to March 2022 to today, we're down about 11% since then. And historically, we're sitting at about December 2021 pricing. And percentage-wise, if we go back 1 year, again, you're up 5.4%. And 3 years ago, that was the peak of the market. You're down 11.3%. And going way back to March 2020, if you happen to buy then, your property has increased in value by 48%. Overall, this market is in a weird spot. Listings are at an all-time high, sales are relatively slow, and prices are still up. In my view, something has to give soon. If rates hold where they are and inventory keeps climbing, then naturally we should see some price pressure. Right now, buyers have more options than ever. Sellers need to price smart if you want to sell in today's market. And if you're wondering how this might impact you, let's chat further using the links down below in the description. And if you're looking to get more insight on the Kelowna market, YouTube thinks you will like this video.